Hi pilots and co-pilots, Brian here. If you're wondering why there's been a lack of videos lately, hopefully today's video might help explain at least one of the reasons. So I recently got up and running with FS Economy. FS Economy, it provides a plugin and website that allows thousands of virtual pilots to live out their dreams and fantasies as a commercial general aviation pilot. So I must admit, as I became more serious about flight simulation and I got hooked on the world of X-Plane, I figured that general aviation flight was kind of just one of the stepping stones towards flying the big jets. So, you know, like all of us, I kind of started on the Cessna 172, and then I jumped up to the Baron, and then I think I spent some time flying around in the King Air C90 on X-Plane 10 or 11, and but eventually they're all stepping stones just so I could get into something like a 737, ending with the Zibo 737. So as much as the GA aircraft were kind of cool, I lost one aspect, which was flying with them, was what to do with them. I mean, I understand big jets, you know, I see them fly all over the world, big airports, they're transporting cargo, they're transporting people, but we all kind of know how that works. But with general aviation, yeah, I know that they do a similar thing, but I don't know the how, when, or why, really. So a lot of my early flying was really just stepping up to the big jets. So, you know, I knew with general aviation stuff that pilots will spend the day out flying to get that fabled $100 burger that they're always talking about. And I kind of wondered, you know, how many burgers, virtual or otherwise, can you really get if you're flying general aviation? But now I've discovered FS Economy. It provides a complete virtual world of basically the commercial general aviation pilot. You know, at the most basic level, you can rent a plane, pick up a job, fly from A to B, and earn some virtual dollars for the fun of it. But it's so much bigger than that, as I'm starting to find out. You can buy your own planes, you can own planes, you can lease planes if you don't want to buy, you can rent your plane out to other people, so you can have a fleet of planes that other people use. People have set up like little virtual companies in there where you can work as a pilot for them. You can purchase and run your own FBO, your fixed base operation at an airport, providing fuel and repair services. And with everything you do, you've got to take into account the fuel costs, airport fees, maintenance and repair costs, upkeep when you're taking on jobs. You know, you have to make a wise choice when you pick aircraft, when you pick jobs, that you're actually earning and more money coming in than you expend when you're doing the flights. So it's pretty cool. So we're going to go and have a bit of a look at trying to choose a job for the day and then get up and running and flying a route so you can see how it works. So this is the FS Economy website. This is the base site. When you first join, you want to create an account and sign up. You can see I'm logged in. There's loads of stuff to read here. There's forums to read. You can get the documentation on here on how to play. From here you can get the client. You can see there's an X-Plane client and a sim. So there's the stuff like FSX and so on, as well as X-Plane. And from there is the link to actually get into the game itself. Now, you first of all register on this site. You have to go to the forums, and there is a particular forum that you have to go and post in and ask for a game ID, and then they will get you set up within the gaming environment. I can't remember which one that is. Oh yeah, new FSE game world account request. So I would say register first, do a lot of reading and understand a bit, and then come into here and request to join the game. Once we join the game, you've got a username and password. You can log into that by going to this new browser window, and I've already got it open here. So this is the screen you get when you log in, and you have some various things along here. You can find information about airports, what your current flight information, what you've already got on book that you're trying to fly, logs for your previous flights, aircraft that you might own, or if you want to purchase aircraft, your banking issues, groups that are out there. People set up their companies and manage them through groups, and just other general interest groups. Goods for goods transfers, FBO if you've got a fixed base operation and you're managing it or buying or getting it up and running, you can do that, and a site map as well. So the idea is between this website and the plugin, then you can do pretty much anything you want to be able to create your commercial general aviation activities. So I'm actually going to have a look at my flight first of all. I do have some I'm actually going to cancel everything off here just so that it's clear. So we're going to go and have a look at CYVR. There's lots of jobs on offer there. I'm in this part of the world right now. There's lots of flights. So here we can see that to take 2 ERA passengers from CYVR to CYXS, which is Prince George, it's 283 nautical miles. And it's heading north from where we are right now. But the pay for that job is $1,534. So if you are interested in flying that route, you can select it and add it in. But of course, that's only part of it. We've got to come down to the bottom. And for me, I don't own an aircraft. I need to see what's available to rent. So not everything's available to rent, because many of these are actually owned by people within the FS Economy simulation, and they're not got them up for rent. So I'm actually going to sort by rental price here so I can see what's actually available right now at CYVR. The other thing, of course, is in the game, you have to actually have the plane or a very, very similar plane to map to that plane so that you can fly it within FS Economy. So as much as I'd love to say, great, I'm going to fly the Cessna Caravan, yeah, well, I don't have any aircraft that map even slightly to that. So I can't use that as a plane. I don't have an Otto. Do I have anything at this airport that even maps to what there is there? You know what? I don't think I do. Oh, actually, I do. I've got this one here. I've got a de Havilland DHC6 300 Twin Otter. I don't have the Aristoff extended, but I'm sure it would allow me to map close enough to that, because mine would actually be slightly worse than that. But if you've got a Cessna 172, some version, you can map it to the Cessna 172 in this game. If you can match, it measures based on your fuel usage, the distance it can fly, the weight it can handle. So there's no point pretending that your Cessna 172 can take on the work of like a Beechcraft 18 or, you know, something huge like a Cessna 208 Caravan, because it's going to try and put in there the weight of, say, 11 passengers. Now, you try putting the weight of 11 passengers inside your Cessna 172, it's going to crash. So try and be honest in the way that you play the game. There are people out there that try and cheat it, and I think that's pointless. You might as well just go and play some other type of computer game if you're going to cheat it. We all try and keep ourselves honest in this game and try and keep it realistic. So pick an aircraft that's extremely similar if you don't have exactly the same one. I don't really have anything I think that matches on this airport, but what you can do, look, I can do airports that have this aircraft. Well, for day, I think I'd like to fly a Beechcraft Baron. There we go. I'm going to select that aircraft, and I need to be able to rent it to be able to take on a job. So it's going to give me airports that actually have one of these. So there's lots in the US, and there's some in Canada. Now, I was going to do a Canadian flight. Are there any? There you go, that's one in Pitt Meadows. I'm going to go for that one. That's very near to where I am. So there's an aircraft, but you know what? There's not a lot of work there. But oh, look. CYP key to CYVR. This is perfect. This is a nice short flight for today. It's only 19 nautical miles, and they're willing to pay, well, I'll get $1,000 before costs for doing this flight. They could probably have got a cab for about $50, but we won't tell them that. I'm going to select those two and add selected assignments to my flight. Okay. Click that. I have them as my flight. And the next thing I need to do, we need the Beechcraft Baron 58, and I'm going to rent it dry. So that means that they're not going to manage the fueling for me. I've got to figure out my fueling requirements, and that's fine too. So now we've picked some passengers, and we've chosen a plane, and now you can see it says locked. I've got that plane. I'm going to go to my flight, and now I have my 3 passengers. I have my plane. Wow, it's fueled to 97%. That's awesome. I don't need to do anything to that. Right, and we are ready to go. So you can see it says departing, so they're going to be going soon. And now what you're going to do is switch over to your sim, and I'll see you in a second at Pitt Meadows Airport. So I've now loaded up X-Plane. And it's a nice early morning in Pit Meadows for this. Bit of cloud, but not too bad at all. Probably pretty cold. Yeah, just a few degrees above zero. And before we do anything else, I'm actually going to load up. Now, I guess you can choose when you trigger the start of your flight according to FS economy, but I like to do it fairly on because it gets the weight of the passengers on. And you'll actually see this. We should see the plane move. So I'm going to go up to my plugins. Got to open economy. I'm going to log in. Takes a few seconds. I'll try again. There we go. I'm logged in now. It says there. And I'm going to start the flight. It's going to stick the fuel in and it's going to stick the passengers in. So that will affect the weight of my flight. There you go. Did you see the plane move slightly there? We actually took on some weight. So that's cool. I now have the plane for 4 hours on a lease and we can get going by my rental time. So I'll be able to program this up and do the flight. Do I have anything else to note at this stage? Yeah, so that gets put in and it does make a difference. One thing I found is I assumed that, you know, I knew how to fly all these different planes, and I will say that I've had a couple of almost crashes because certainly I think I was flying down into Washington State, flying a little Cessna, and I had 3 passengers on and I had quite a bit of fuel. And I assumed I knew how to fly that plane. And well, when you're near the limits, it's a very different plane to fly. So, you know, my assumptions on short runway takeoffs, and I can just pull the stick back and get into the sky with some of these smaller general aviation craft. I'm learning the hard way that the real world is very different when you actually put some weight on board. It's something I never really used to think to do, to load it up. But this really does make a difference. So it's quite good fun. So I'm just going to get this programmed up. I'm used to flying the 737 where you spend half an hour programming everything up. I'm going to get the plane up and running, and then we shall head off and fly to CYVR, finish the flight, and then you can see how that looks at the end for FS economy. So actually, before we do go any further, I've switched over to the FS economy website, and you can see here now my passengers are marked as en route. They're not departing, they're on the way. So I'm just going to, actually I should turn that off and that off. I put my strobe and beacon on just so it's clear. I'm going to start, crank up my fuel there. My nav lights on. Okay, now I can turn my avionics on. I'm going to turn I won't put my taxi lights on yet, the panel on, that's what I want. I'm going to have a look at, is there an existing flight plan? Yeah, obviously a previous job I did. I'm going to clear that. Oops. I'm actually going to go straight to CYVR. Just so we got some guidance. I could probably fly this VFR. C Y. Go down again. Accept. Oops. Yeah. That'll do me. Not actually sure what runway is in operation today. Which direction we are. Let's have a look. ATIS is 125.0. Would they actually have their own ATIS in real life for Pit Meadows? I wonder. 125.0.
Pit Meadows information Juliet. 1500 Zulu weather. Wind 220 at 7, visibility 6. Sky clear, temperature 5, dew point -15. Altimeter 2971. Arriving runway 18, departing runway 18. Advise on initial contact you have Juliet.
Okay, let's have a look at the map. Runway... Runway what? Runway 18, did it say? Oh, up there. We're there. So, ooh, okay, I got quite the moving to do. Okay. So what, I'll stop the video here and I'll taxi up there and I'll restart when I'm ready to take off. Because that's going to be a little while. I'm just coming up to the end of my taxi here. A bit misty this morning. It's an early morning flight here for these passengers. Oops. Oh, there's one. Is it 1400 in Canada or is it 1200 as well? I can never remember. Well, in theory, I'm going to put my landing lights on, turn my taxi lights off, give a visual check, even though I know I'm the only plane in the sim. I'm actually thinking of spending some money, shock horror, on World Traffic version 3. It looks a bit complicated, but I really still do miss decent aircraft within the sim, so I'm going to maybe buy that and give it a go at getting that configured. We shall see. I'd love anybody's feedback if they have done it and what they think about it. Okay, we're good to go. I did my run up just now before I started the video again. We've got our altimeter set correctly. I won't put my prop sync on until we're taken off, along with the yaw damper. Oh, the yaw's already on actually, let's turn that off. Feed the power in. I just checked on my passengers, they look a little nervous, but they're alright. Some big trees at the end of the runway there, let's hope we can clear them. Okay, I'm going to ease back. Okay, we are airborne, floating a bit there. Gear up. Ooh, I think we went through the trees there. It's not my fault, who put trees at the end of the runway like that? That's just stupid. We're climbing out. We won't really have to do a lot of climbing, we only have 19 nautical miles till touchdown in YVR. It is pretty misty this morning though, oh my goodness. It's cold and misty. So this is some easy money for me today. I'll go in my slush fund to try and eventually, my aim is to buy a Baron 58. It's a useful size. You can get 5 passengers in it and you can get a fair weight of cargo as well. Let's ease off on the throttle a bit there. I'm paying for this fuel today, so we don't need to have the massive fuel flow going through. Yeah, that's one of the things you start taking account of is how much fuel you're going to use, how long the flight is. I think the Baron 58 is going to be a very useful aircraft for me. It's, I think they're going for about 300,000 on FS economy. So I've got to save up a bit more money yet. I'm only at about $40,000 saved from all my flights. But I've been having a blast. I've flown, a lot of it's been around Canada. It's funny, it's made me want to fly nearer home. But I've been flying all over Vancouver Island. I've been heading up to Tofino, up to the more remote locations, because obviously people need flying in and out from there. And I've been flying planes I haven't flown in a while. I've been flying to locations I haven't flown in a while. It's been great. You know what I really should do? Get prepared for landing. Because look, we're almost there. I tell you, it would have been cheaper than to get a cab, but I'm not going to tell them that. 124.6. Let's find out what runway we're landing on.
Vancouver International Information, Juliet. 1500 Zulu weather. Wind 230 at 9. Visibility 6. Sky clear. Temperature 0. Dew point -21. Altimeter 2971. Arriving runways 26 right. 31. Departing runways 26 left. 31. Advise on initial contact. You have Juliet.
Okay, 26 right, which is that. Of course, we're pretty much ignoring ATC, the needs a very massive airport, but I'm going to fly it anyway. So you can see the sunlight just catching the sides of the buildings and first thing in the morning. Let's have a look outside. I'll try and hold the plane as steady as I can because I'm not using autopilot, that's why. This is actually a slightly modified Baron 58. It's not like the Coronado one or anything like that. But I'll add a link to it in my notes, along with the link to FS Economy. But somebody's done a lot of model tweaking on this and made it available on explain.org. And it flies very nicely. Not, of course, that I know what a real one flies like, but you know what? They've done a lot of work in making it more realistic. I'm happy for that, so I will include that in the notes below the video. So we can see runway 26 right up ahead. We're going to be coming into land there in a minute, and we'll show you the end of FS Economy flight. As we come over there. I do love it's pretty good auto-gen scenery. Vancouver here. I have also for XP underneath. Oh, and in good old explain style, it just suddenly changed the weather. But that's alright. And we can still see the runway we took off from. So this really is probably the easiest flight out there, I would imagine. Going to bring up the map, see where we are, details. Oh, actually, I can't find it that way. You know what? I'm just going to do this. I'm going to tune nav 1 and tune nav 2. It's cheating a bit, but there we go. So I can use the glide slope to help me land. We've got a bit of cloud this morning. Air temperature here is just below 0, but I know there is moisture. Maybe I should put my... I mean, not that it matters too much, I can see the ground, but... that's better. I thought X-Plane had just crashed on me. So let's just trim the plane a little for a little bit of descent. Now we are below the glide slope according to this right now, but we'll just keep fairly level and... we'll kind of join the glide slope from the bottom. There we go, we're coming on right now. Just turn slightly. Well, I still didn't even activate the prop sync. I'm supposed to do that after takeoff. Anyway, I've come up slightly over to the left there, but that's okay. Start dropping the speed and then I'll bring the flaps out and the gear down. Again, we're still below the glide slope. Okay. So there we go, we've now got approach flaps. It's now going to complain about the gear being up. But I'll bring that down in a second. Okay, my gear is coming down. I'll give it a chance to get down and locked. Look for 3 greens. 3 greens. Okay, we're getting onto the glide slope now vertically. It's coming down this line. speed slowed down quite a lot. This would really annoy air traffic control if this was actually going on in Vancouver. We'd be way too slow. There'd be, we'd probably have a 737 or something up our arse pretty quickly if we did this. We're still just cutting across to get back in line with the runway. Almost on the glide slope. I'm not too worried. It's near enough. I'm flying visual anyway. One thing I will say, if you're interested in taking our jobs flying to locations you've never been to before, always pays to have a quick search for scenery. I always suggest just typing into Google X-plane and then the ICAO details of the aircraft you're going to see if there's some scenery. I've had some where I relied on default X-plane scenery and the runways were so bumpy that it was actually impossible to land a plane on, and oh, did you just see all the lights go off? That's kind of weird. I guess it's daytime now and they turn all the lights off. So yeah, I've had it where the runways are completely unlandable basically because of the situation where the default scenery is not up to it in those locations. Certainly in BC with coastal mountains and so on. So there's definitely something to bear in mind, is see if there is actually some scenery for where you want to fly to. Okay, so I've actually gone the other way now. I'm high on the glide slope, but that's usually kind of how I like it. But we're pretty much on course again now. We've got two whites, two reds on the PAPI there. I'm going to bring the rest of my little flaps down. This will be a huge amount more drag. Keeping our speed at about 90 knots here. We're slow, but not at stall speed yet. Ease off on the throttle a little, bring me down near at 80, I think. Bouncing around a little as we get slower. Less stability, easing it in. I think I might land a little short, don't want to do that. And definitely just a little bit more throttle just as we're coming in, I think. Now ease off. Don't want us to... Yeah, we did, we stalled just at the last second there. I eased off a little bit too early. We're down. Both engines appear running and it didn't tell me I'd burst any tyres. So normally I would taxi off and park somewhere, but that would take us forever at a big airport like this, and I was just trying to demonstrate FS economy. So I'm going to come to a stop. You have to come to a stop, a complete stop. I'll put the park brake on, and you also need to kill the throttles. Cut off the fuel supply, go back to your X economy plugin, and I can click on finish flight. Your flight has been logged. My aircraft is no longer rented, so if I go, I'd have to go and rent the aircraft again. So let's go and have a final look at this in FS economy. So when I go to FS economy and I go to my flight, boom, I have no aircraft selected and no assignments. However, I have some money in my bank account. Well, that's my bank balance, my cash balance, so I've just made some money. Again, not the full amount from the flight. So if I go to my log, you can see this was my last flight. And I want to view it. It was only 22 minutes. I can view. So my income, 1,086, but cost me $200, so $85 was the rental cost, based on the fact that I didn't use it for a whole hour, only 20 minutes. I had fuel costs. Oh, it looks like I didn't have a huge amount of ground crew fee of $108 because it's CYVR. They actually charge a lot for that. And I got charged a distance bonus. That's something else. If you rent an aircraft, the further you fly it away from its home base, you pay more. If you fly it closer to its home base, you get money back. So it's all done so that the owner of the aircraft, their aircraft doesn't end up in Alaska every time or something. that there's an incentive for other pilots to keep their rental aircraft near to their base of operations. So there you go. I had over 1,000 to start with, but my income was only 861 there. So it's neat. That's how it all adds up. So that's it. Now I can choose to add more. You know what I could do? I can go and look at CYVR. I can go and find some jobs and carry on flying this afternoon. So it's very addictive, and that's the reason why I've been flying a little, well, making videos a little less for the last few weeks. So give it a go. I haven't flown the 737 in 2 weeks because I've been having fun in all the aircraft I've neglected for some time. And it's also got me itching to buy a couple more from explain.org. There's I either want to get the Cessna 208 Caravan, or there's an equivalent that maps to that. Is it the Kodiak or something? So I'm actually after getting some more aircraft in the GA range that I can better suited fly routes on this. So I hope it's inspired you to maybe go and try it out. Let me know what you think, or if you're already on there, link up with me if you want. Donate me some virtual dollars if you think my video is awesome. That'd be good right now, because then I might be able to afford a plane one day. But thanks ever so much for watching, and I shall see you again soon.